What's up, everyone? We are in Sonoma wine country for our first track day with the McLaren 12C. We've stayed at this amazingly cute bed and breakfast called...
I think it's Gables Inn Country.
The Gables Wine Country Inn. And you can see we are, in fact, in the middle of wine country. We are about 35 minutes from Sonoma Raceway, and McLaren San Francisco just put in an incredible effort to get our car ready for this event. They had parts overnighted from the factory in the UK, and they were putting them on our car the day before the event to get us out there today. So it's 7 a.m. right now. We're headed to the track. It's the first time I've ever done a track day in a car. It's the first time she's ever done a track day in a car. And it's in a what?
The McLaren 12C.
Which is right over here. I don't think days get too much better than this. But we did end up with what appears to be a free bath overnight from the mist. You ready? All right, we'll see you guys at the track. What's up, everyone? So it is past midnight here, and I am using my free time in between days at work to try to piece together the narration for this video, because it's something that I'm really excited about and want to share with you. It's basically my first track day ever. It happened to be in a McLaren. It happened to be at a very special event that had a lot of unique, rare, not often seen cars, and it's something that really was so enjoyable for me that I've caught the bug, and I want to do this a lot more. And I have a feeling there's a lot of you out there who are interested in this sort of thing and would like to get information. So this is meant to explain to you how to prepare and what to expect out of your first track day, as well as to share some of the awesome scenes from this event in particular. Before I get started, I want to say huge thank you to McLaren San Francisco, Billy, Dan, Navin, the Los Gatos Luxury Group, the folks at Bentley Walnut Creek, Nima, Brian, Colin, everybody that was responsible for getting our car ready for this event. It really was a monumental effort to make sure we got out there putting on this amazing event. It honestly was better than we possibly could have dreamed, and I'm very much looking forward to making this a regular activity. All right, what happened with our numbers? You don't want to say? Racing numbers. So this is kind of funny because our car was designed to look like a race car, and it has racing numbers on both doors and on the hood. But the secret is that none of the numbers match each other because they all have significance to us. And so we have 28 on one door, 23 on the other door, and 83 on the hood. And at a track day, they want all of the numbers to match and be consistent so that your car can be identified. Well, this presented a problem. So the track organizer gave us new numbers that were very small, and I realized there was no way that putting these numbers over the existing numbers was going to work. It was just going to create more confusion. So we have different numbers all over the car. So our fix is to blue tape the numbers to be 88. I think it worked pretty well. So the solution we came up with, because the font for the numbers on our car is so uniform, was to take blue tape and block off all the numbers to say 88 instead. And this solution actually worked incredibly well. And so if I do this again going forward, that's my solution. But that is something you're gonna need, is numbers on your car. And I'm not sure, you gotta check with the organizer whether they'll provide those for you or you gotta come with your own. To get started, I would say the first thing is you have to prepare your car. And in this case, being a McLaren, in order to maintain the warranty, McLaren requires a pre-track inspection and a post-track inspection. And as long as you have the dealership take care of those two things, if something were to happen to your car while on track, the McLaren extended warranty would still cover the car. So that's a pretty awesome feature. I don't know how other exotic brands work, but in this case, that's what I did. And when McLaren San Francisco inspected my car, that's pretty awesome. They determined that it really needed new brakes all around. And so they took care of that. Basically on a Tuesday, they had some brake rotors overnighted from McLaren UK, put them on the car by Friday, and I was ready for this event by Saturday. So step one, you gotta prep your car. You gotta make sure it's in good working order. One of the biggest risks at a track day event for yourself and for others is losing fluid on the track. Because if a car behind you, around you, hits fluid on a track, they basically become an uncontrolled projectile at that point. And that's dangerous for everyone involved. So, you want your car to be in good working order so that you can enjoy the day, but also so that you don't hurt anybody else. Are you ready? What are you doing? What are you gonna do?
Ride with the dealer.
All right, let's go. Oh man.
I'm scared. Oh man, I'm scared.
Do you want the jacket? You should probably give me the jacket. I don't know how. I've never seen one of these before. Go ahead, get in. I'm documenting, Dan.
What is this?
Okay, just hop in like a normal car. Delta just a little bit more. I do have to get a little bit more first off.
Oh man, you're legit now.
This one. So I do need to make these tight, okay? So it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, but once you're actually out on track, right, you're going to move around a little bit, so they'll loosen up a little. I'm going to tighten up a little bit more, but when you're sitting here before you go out, it's going to be a little uncomfortable, but because these are designed in the event of an accident, they're designed to stretch, so you want them as tight as possible, because like I said, once you guys are out there, right, your body's going to move around a little bit, so they're going to loosen up just a little bit. So once you're actually going, you're not going to notice like I can't breathe and stuff like that. And then if you here, so right here, this is your belt buckle.
Okay.
On the bottom, you can feel there's a little piece here. When you need to get out, once you're done, just turn it. It turns like maybe a quarter turn, and it releases all the belts. Okay.
so awesome. You're so lucky.
I'm so scared. I've never done a track before. Ever.
It'll be exciting.
Is Dan a fast driver?
Yeah, he's a good driver. Because you have roof and glass.
Safety gear. In this case, we needed to bring our own helmets. They needed to be, generally speaking, Snell SA 2015 approved. I believe there were some other standards that were allowed, FIA, things that are basically higher than Snell, but at a minimum, Snell SA 2015. We happen to have a lot of helmets, so we brought our own helmets. That was a non-issue.
But remember, nobody's coming the other direction, right? So everybody's going the same direction. So,
I'm Tran.
right, nice to meet you. Yeah, and if there's any sort of, like, if you start feeling like you're going to be sick or anything like that, like being called to traffic, you can, get Dan's attention and, stuff like, it's too much or whatever, or I feel like I might be sick or something like that, just let him know, and then he can slow down and then bring you back into the paddock here.
So awesome.
It's fun.
Is it all right if she holds us or not?
That would be a question for him. I don't know, like, what
Yeah.
they allow or not allow her.
Hey Dan, is it all right if she holds us or not?
Yeah, can't hold it.
Okay,
All right.
that's all good. I wanted to be able to see how terrified she is on tape after, but it's all good.
I'll take it easy.
No, you should scare the crap out of her. Have fun. Dude, he is flying compared to that guy. Holy sheesh. Woo. Oh man. Oh man. Wow. Track insurance. Track insurance is to cover your car and potentially liability if you get into an accident on the track, because your standard insurance typically will not cover it. In my case, I have State Farm, and I called them up and they specifically told me on the track my coverage does not apply. I ultimately decided to buy the coverage for the day with open track. I insured my car at $125,000 and I paid about $600 for one day. It covered 2 drivers, myself and my wife, and I did it because it's our first time ever on the track. It's in a McLaren, and the decision making was simple. I didn't expect to drive over my head. In fact, the number one objective of the day was to get out of the day safely, be able to drive the car home. And in this case, we were at Sonoma Raceway, which I've been there for IndyCar races. It's a notoriously technical track, and it's a notoriously unforgiving track. It is known to eat cars. And so I didn't want to have this overhang of what if. I knew that I could drive within my limits, but I can't control unexpected things such as fluid on the track or just whatever circumstances might occur. And the decision making for me basically boiled down to $600 out of pocket stings, but it really doesn't hurt that bad. If I were to lose the car, that would really hurt. And so that effectively made the decision for me. At the end of the day, I drove the car home. I didn't use the insurance, but I still believe in my case it was $600 well spent. One of the other huge difference makers to my experience for the day was really getting to learn the track and understand the racing line. The event was very well organized. It was split into 3 groups: novice, intermediate, advanced. And obviously, being my first track day, I went with the novice group. In the first outing, they had a lead car, a follow car, and they did not allow passing of any kind. And they controlled the pace, which let all of the drivers basically get to learn the track, drive it a couple times around without having to worry about other cars potentially trying to pass them, or, you know, trying to define their own pace. I found that to be an interesting experience. As I said, this track is highly technical, and there are some areas of the track that came very intuitively to me, and then there were other areas of the track where I was basically lost at sea every time I went around. Specifically, turns 2 through turns 4, you crest a first hill, then you crest a second hill, and it was very hard for me to find a line that flowed and to be consistent with it. And this is where having help really went such a long way to making my day so much better. Brian, who works at Bentley of Walnut Creek, happened to be a race instructor at the racetrack for 8 years. And when I found that out, I began to pick his brain, and he took me over to the track map, and he actually walked me through the racing line for the entire track. And we'll go over some track footage of me driving and of my wife driving. And really, the reason for that is I didn't have video of my first lap, but I'm pretty sure her lap without any instructor help is very similar to my first lap. There are lines that you would intuitively take if it's your first time out, and then there's the proper racing line given the setup and layout of the track. And with Brian walking me through the proper racing line and me taking that information and going back out, it completely changed my experience out there. So I would say that if it's your first track day, spend time watching YouTube videos of the track, maybe getting into a racing sim if possible. And, you know, under the best of circumstances, if you're able, get an instructor in the car with you that knows the track and can help you learn it, because the racing line is, in my opinion, the most important first step to really figuring out how to drive a particular track well. After that, it's a series of skills that you can develop over time, learning how to brake in a braking zone and kind of where the limits are is really sort of a trial and error process. Learning the kind of friction point and grip and handling of your tires before they break and you lose control is another element of this. But step one, you know, get the racing line correct, because it makes a very, very huge difference to learning the rest of it. And after I figured that out, I was no longer scared of the track because I had the car in the right place to be able to do what I wanted to do. Okay, let me caveat this with I am hardly an expert, and this is just from my experience on the day. I'm going to walk you through almost 2 laps that I did for a reason, because I got hung up on one of the laps trying to do a point by. But it'll give us 2 opportunities to see a lot of these turns. So I'm going into turn 3 and I'm on the left side of the track. I cross over to the right and I try to late apex this turn 3A so that I'm on the left side of the track when I crest the hill, which gives me more of an angle to take the right hand turn down. At this point, I'm looking at that tree off in the distance and focusing on it to be able to take the correct line through turn 4. And then at this point, I've actually slowed down because I was trying to point by a car behind me. I thought that he was trying to go by. Turns out he was perfectly content sitting behind me. So that actually gave me some nice room in front of me. Now as I'm taking this turn here, I'm trying to stay 2/3 of the way out so that I can cut in right here to the inside. I didn't do a good job of it, but you'd really want to kind of pinch that corner and then slide out wide as you accelerate. Come into this straightaway, hard brake, because you're going to basically U-turn, and give yourself a little room, get on the gas, and try to really take off in these corners because you want the entry speed. It's all connected from here basically through the end. And if you screw one of these corners up from the beginning, you're going to be off on the whole thing. This part of the track was relatively intuitive to me. Didn't take much thought. Really, the first 2 hills are the area that I had a lot of trouble with. The first times out, I didn't really know what line I ought to be taking. I wasn't consistent. And Brian from Walnut Creek, again, teaching me the racing line through that area, just completely changed my day and my ability to run this track and feel comfortable with it. So we're going to get another crack at it here, and you'll see the 570 in front of me really had a pretty good head start, but I think being on the racing line allows me to make up some ground. So we're going to approach this difficult section again, turn 2 into turn 3. I'm going to try to go a little wide to the left and then cut back to the right, late apex into this corner and take the left side up, which gives me room to make this right-hand turn over 3A. And you can see the distance that I regained on the 570 in front of me by taking that line through those corners. And again, here another opportunity, stay 2/3 of the way out as we swing around this. And late apex again, once you actually see the corner, to try to pinch it and accelerate and then swing out a little. Overall, this was an incredible learning experience. It was so much fun. It was not nearly as, I guess I would say, dangerous as I was concerned about. I did have one interesting moment on a different lap in this area right here where the rear end slid out on me under acceleration. I kind of learned where that limit was and pulled back from it. The car was running Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires, which are street tires. They're not as grippy as some Pirelli Corsas that I have in storage on the OEM wheels, but they're far more predictable with when they brake. And for a first track day, I think they were excellent tires to run on. At this point, I exited the pit because it was the last session out and I wanted to give my wife an opportunity. So we'll take a look at her lap.
This is her first time out on track.
First time out. Okay. Going okay?
Yeah.
So it's her first time out. I was driving earlier. We want to make sure she can tuck in at a good spot.
Nice, a lot of space?
Yeah.
I'll walk down and tell him at point that's what you want.
Okay.
So let me get down there first.
Okay.
Alrighty.
All right, so this is my wife's lap, and as she headed out, we tried to get her an open spot on the track, and there were a couple cars that came up, just went by her, and so she had a clean stretch of road. And if we look at her lines, because it's her first time driving this, you'll see what she intuitively does and how it's a bit different from the actual racing line. So
into turn 3A, she pinches the left corner, apexes it, goes up the hill, and pinches the right. And that puts her in the wrong part of the track and is a lot slower than the racing line. And you can see just through that whole section, I mean, that's what I did the first time out, and it is just way slower than if you take the correct line through there. As she comes down here, she's hugging the inside left hand of the turn, which doesn't allow you to pinch when the corner tucks at the end and sends you off wide. That's why you want to stay wide so you can accelerate when you get down, pinch that corner, and basically shave distance off while you're adding speed. She comes into here, she pinches the right corner really tight, and then again, where I think you really want to swing out sort of wide, give yourself more room to get on the gas and accelerate into this carousel area. To her credit, she did a far better job filming the lap than I did. I'm way too low. You can barely see the track.
Do not go into this wall with speed. It will take you out, so it's fine. Go a little. You're all right.
And then this is something I didn't bring up before, but this turn 10, you want to be extra careful not to overcook it here because that's a wall, and if you go in there too hot, you're into the wall.
Good job, baby.
Overall, my wife survived her first lap. She brought the car back intact. I would say that's a job well done.
Hey babe, how was your day?
It's good.
What did we do?
Track day.
And what happened?
I rode in a McLaren with Dan from McLaren, and he drives very, very fast. Then I drove with you in this McLaren, which was also fast, but not as fast as Dan. And then I drove this car.
Nice.
Very much not fast.
All right. So I think today was a success because the car is intact. We did get track day insurance. We did not need to use it. I consider that a win. But more than that, I think this is an awesomely addicting sport. When I went out there, I had no idea what I was doing. There was a lot of great help and instruction, and the event was incredibly well organized and run, where I felt safe out there not knowing what I was doing, and then getting to learn what I was doing, and by the end, I felt really great. Like it was coming naturally, and I was learning with each additional lap. I kind of figured out the racing line, starting to figure out braking points, but on the whole, it was a fantastic event. Highly recommend track days if you've never done them before and you're interested. What else? Anything else? I think we're the last ones here, as is usually the case. I tend to like to close up shop, take nice photos, just relax, but we are headed home. We're headed to dinner. Headed to wine and dinner, because we're in wine country. Thanks for watching.
See y'all later.
Here you go.
On the whole, it's really not too complicated. It's make sure your car is in good working order, bring the proper safety gear, get insurance if you're interested in it, and then go out and have some fun. Try to learn the racing line, try to enhance your skills with respect to handling, braking, and just have a blast. That's it. I think I've got the bug. I know I plan to get out there again as soon as I can. And I hope that in watching this video, I've inspired some of you to take that leap if it's something you've been interested in doing. I highly recommend it. It's very enjoyable. It's very worth it. And I guess that's it. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, you know I don't normally do this with most of my videos, but in this case, a significant amount of effort, and I think it could be highly valuable. If you liked it, hit like. If you like the content in general, subscribe if that's your cup of tea. And if you've got any comments, leave them down below. I will see you at the next one.